Hello, and welcome to the Hello You Show, where big dreams meet real action. Through transformative stories, a bit of neuroscience, and real conversations, this show is here to help you explore creating your next level life with authenticity and passion. I am Jessica Rice, a design techie and former engineering leader turned vision evolution coach on a mission to help other women rise up and lead a life of purpose. So get cozy and say hello again to the real you. Hello and welcome back to the Hello You Show. My name is Jessica Rice and I am your host, but we have an amazing guest joining us today, Gabriela Embon. I'm so excited to have you on the show here. She is a former chemical engineer, certified coach, marriage educator, and author. And Gabriela believes that fulfilling adult life hinges on two essential components: an ideal career and a thriving primary relationship. In the last 2 decades as a coach, Gabriela has dedicated herself to helping couples build fulfilling and enduring relationships. Gabriela utilizes the analytical and problem solving skills from her engineering background and applies them to the intricacies of human relationships. And by combining the precision of engineering with the emotional depth of human behavior, she empowers couples to transform their relationships and become a power couple. And through the pages of her debut release, which I have right here, her amazing book, Becoming a Power Couple: 4 Pillars to Engineer Legendary Marriages, Gabriela empowers individuals to embrace the principles of the 4 pillars and build a union that grows stronger and more fulfilling with each passing day. And it debunks the myth that marriage takes freedom away and that passion can't survive in a long-term relationship, and offers a model for achieving blissful and liberating unions. Gabriela, I'm so excited to have you joining us today. Thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me and for such a warm introduction.
Of course. And I read your book. I really couldn't put it down. I was just going through the pages. You wrote so beautifully in there. But I'd love to know first, before we dive in, where are you joining us from so our listeners can
Oh, let me start by saying that today we have minus 23.
know? Oh, that's
So I'm joining from Montreal. It's very cold and windy. So it's a nice scene from the window, the snow blowing. But yes, I'm joining from Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
Well, it's beautiful over there, but that is really cold. California, we we don't know how to live in those conditions.
It's okay. We're getting used to it. We never get used to it. Yes.
Yeah, well, I know you. So you have this incredible story. You highlight it in your book. I would love if you'd be willing to share just for this episode. What's your story? What drove you into doing this work?
Um. Oh wow. So the book starts with my marriage story. Um. Which of course was I was engaged to someone else, not my current husband, to get married. And a month before my wedding, I had a dream. And in my dream, I was entering the altar, but it wasn't my husband waiting. It wasn't my fiance waiting at the altar. It was my current husband. And that kind of, it disturbed me. Why am I dreaming this? Now, I knew my husband. We were friends. We were acquaintances. And it became very clear to me that something is not right. That dream propelled me to actually make a decision and cancel my wedding a month before. Pretty much the next day, I had an argument with my fiance, and the words just came out of me, and I said, I'm canceling the wedding. I've been married for 26 years, happily married. So clearly it was the right decision, thank God, because it was quite a noisy decision. People were talking. But what this taught me is that and I always say that easy decisions usually lead to a harder life, and difficult decisions usually lead to an easier life. And what do I mean by that? I consider easy decisions those that we make to get instant gratification. Those decisions that we make in the moment based on where we are and not wanting to rock the boat, or get out of our comfort zone or get that instant gratification. Okay, let's just keep the peace. While difficult decisions, I consider them those that take us out of our comfort zone, that are made looking into where I want to be and not necessarily where I am. So I'm less concerned with instant gratification, more of what is the life that I want to create for myself. And that taught me the power of decision making and how we literally shift our future. And then that play again when I did a career change from engineering to coaching. It was pretty much the same. Is making those difficult decisions that will lead to an easier life later on. Um, yeah, so that's really the story that the book starts with, and from there we dive into. Okay, I thought, I was naive. I thought, okay, that's it. I found the right person. So we are in love. That's going to be enough to have a happily ever after. And that, of course, was a very, very naive presumption, because I learned that love itself is not what sustains the marriage, but something else that we can talk about. But I'm curious to know what you thought when you were reading that story.
Mm. Well, I first of all appreciate you sharing that sometimes it's the difficult decisions that bring us the most peace later on, or make us, they're building us. We're both coaches. We work with clients. We know that that's true. And we have a very similar background too. I mean, software engineering, chemical engineering, transferring into coaching. So it definitely speaks to me. And when I was reading their book, I think what also struck true for me was it, we fall in love. We fall in love. We have this kind of infatuation moment. And you talk about this in your book, but that's not the thing that sustains us. And I can remember very clearly in moments of my own marriage too, where it felt like, wait a minute, now it's getting messy. I don't really like this. I liked this phase over here. Now we're having to actually deal with things. And there's a piece I want to talk about a little bit too, which was, you talk about in chapter 4 in the me pillar, where you're discussing the expectations of hidden needs. And I think that this one hit me because you said, without realizing it, an unspoken and unconscious promise is forged. Your partner, will fulfill and provide my hidden desires and unexpressed needs.
Mm.
So, just from my perspective, it very much resonated. I'm curious, how many couples are coming in and talking to you? And this is a big piece of it.
Usually, when couples reach out, they are in the power struggle phase, right?
Mhm.
They have the honeymoon phase is over, and now they're triggering each other. But you know, I was listening to Esther Perel. She had a video, a reel recently saying, "I less care about what people are fighting about. I'm more concerned with what people are fighting for." And what we're usually fighting about is less relevant. So we're not trying to smooth who's right, who's wrong. My role is to help people look what's under and what are they fighting for. In the power struggle, we fight about things that have nothing to do with the real root cause. And normally the real root cause is what she mentions, what we're fighting for is, wait a second, when we were in the honeymoon phase, I thought that by being with you, I will stop feeling certain things. So for me personally was, I will stop feeling that I'm not enough. And you will provide me with the inner peace that I lack. And now I realize that that unconscious promise is not fulfilled. I still feel I'm not good enough. In fact, not only I feel this way, you make me feel this way. You're triggering exactly what I need to work on. You're mirroring the inner work that I need to do. So if we are not aware that this process is going on under the surface, then we become resentful and we fight over pretty much everything. And that resentment, if it's not addressed, if we are not talking about what's truly going on, starts eroding that beautiful bond and trust that we build during the first phase of the marriage, the honeymoon phase or the relationship. So this is where basically that's why it's the first pillar, the me. We understand that in order for us to grow together into that power couple phase, we cannot avoid the inner work. We cannot avoid what we need to address in ourselves. The baggage we came with, if we thought our husband or our wives are going to take care of it, they cannot do that. We cannot outsource our happiness. We cannot expect them to be our punching bags or expect them to remove those inner feelings and wounds that I need to heal myself. But this is the beautiful opportunity, because now if we, with all this awareness, we can embark together in this beautiful journey of helping each other work on ourselves, of personal development within the marriage. Because, we hear a lot in the coaching world that in order to attract your soulmate, you have to first love yourself. Well, I don't think it's always the case. I can't say that I loved myself when I met my husband. I believe that some people go through the process, do the personal development, or we never end that process, but do the big chunk of their personal development, and with they have the relationships that are just for them to do the work, and then they find the one. And then you have other people who find each other quite young, like we were young. We started dating when we were 21. And then they commit together to help each other do the work and support each other. So I learned to love myself while in the relationship. I didn't have that before. But it was through, when we say that we commit to the relationship, is first and foremost, we commit to do the work so we can show up our best. And we can show out our best for the relationship, because our partners won't be able to do that for us. This makes any sense? So personal responsibility, personal accountability to my own happiness is the first pillar to then build something extraordinary. Because just think about it. To become a power couple, to build that beautiful bond, you need to build trust. Can you trust somebody that blames everybody? Can you trust somebody that is not willing to look inside and do their work? Right? We trust people who take responsibility and who are accountable for their own happiness. And that's the kind of person we want to live a life with and build a life with. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think what I love what you're saying is because I think sometimes it's the hard work is looking inward, and it's so much quote unquote easier, right? To put it out and deflect it out to other people and say they're the problem. And like you said, we're not building towards something. We're just creating chaos. And because they are reflecting back to us that a key piece that we continue to ignore. I know for me personally, when I started to early when I was starting in my coaching journey, that is when I had to start looking inward and process trauma that I had experienced previously. And I don't know if it ever goes away. And I think that's the other piece when you're talking about loving yourself. There are good days, and then there's days where we have to remind ourselves of the work that we have done previously, because why are things then falling apart again? What's going on for me? And we have to continually bring ourselves back. Um,
I think that what's required from us is the effort.
mm-hmm,
It's the awareness and the effort.
mm-hmm.
But overall, when we look at the trend, we see an improvement. Like, yes, you could see some days that it feels like you're going back, but you're not really going back. You're just cleaning something else that was still there for you to reach the next level, right?
Mhm. Yeah, that next level of awareness. Um, and, you have so many actionable steps that you provided in your book to do this, and that's also another thing that I really loved is because sometimes we read books or we hear advice or, we hear something, and that's all well and good, but then we don't really know how to apply it in our own lives. And what I loved is you have all these things that people can actually do as a couple or by themselves. And I think that was another piece as well that was really awesome, which is you said that if your partner doesn't want to do the work with you, they don't want to read the book with you, then do it for yourself. And you instantly opened up this ability to have grace again for yourself, for your partner, and how you're moving forward and what you're working toward, as opposed to blaming and finger pointing.
Yes, in fact, you don't need anybody to do the work, right? You want to do it, right? You want to work on yourself. You, you want to schedule those meetings to work as a team. And we talk in the hour pillar, the communication, the coordination, the collaboration. Then just suggest. I mean, unless you really have somebody who says, I don't want to talk to you. Okay. But normally this is not the case. Normally is who's initiating. And sometimes we do need to initiate until the other person is willing to actually step in. They will join as long as you initiate. At a certain point, they will actually see the benefit in this. This is good. I'm feeling better. I'm feeling safer. We're creating a better home. So let's do it together. So I think that, um, I talk about commitment. That is what keeps the marriage together. And the more you commit, by the way, the more you rekindle the love. So it's not, I'm waiting to feel the love in order to rekindle. Love is an emotion, it comes and goes. Some days you don't love your partner. That doesn't mean that you are ending the relationship. Some days you don't love your children. Okay, you always love them, but some days you don't feel like taking care of them, but you don't divorce them because you're committed. So the same applies, by the way, to your career. Both of us did a career change, which I'm sure we're very passionate. I can see that in you, and I know I'm very passionate about. Do I feel like doing what I do every day? Of course not. But I'm committed to this.
Mm.
So it is the commitment that allows me to love it and take it to the next level. The same happens with a relationship. And the word commitment is not a passive word when you're talking about actions in the book, because the premise of the book is if you practice commitment to your relationship will thrive. But how do you practice commitment? Through actions, right? It's not a vow you made. It's not a status you attain when you got married. You get married every day. And
Mm.
it is these actions and the investment. And, I like to call commitment a combination of two things. Commitment as a combination of investment, doing what you need to do for something to become better. And the second part is improving your craft. Even in your career as a coach, you need to invest and doing what you need to do for you to have your clients, but you also need to become better in your skills, right? These are two different things. One is business development, the other one is professional development. How do I become better as a coach? If I become better as a coach, but I don't develop my practice, it's not going to help, and vice versa. So
Mm.
here too, you want to become better in yourself by doing your inner work. You want to become better at communicating. You want to become better at loving your partner. Improve your craft, right? Master your craft of loving your partner. How do you master the craft of loving someone? What does it take to master the craft of loving someone? It's quite simple. Get to know them deeper. Okay, I've been married for 26 years and a half. To be precise, we're together for 29 years and a half. Can I say that I know everything? Of course not. you can never stop learning about your partner. So commit to learn more about them. And when there is a conflict, when there is a situation, commit to go deeper. The more you know, the better you can love them. And the more there is to love. So that's how you commit to improve yourself as a partner. And then you invest. You invest in doing the work for the hour to work as a partnership, to be a good friend to your partner, to be a good lover to your partner. All of the, we work through the 4 pillars: the me, the you, the hour, and the us.
I loved reading through. You had the 4 pillars in your book. You have the me, the you, the our, and the us, right? Do you have many couples that come that are lacking in trust to start with when they're moving through these pillars?
Yes. And that trust that was there can get eroded, as I said, when there's a lot of resentment, when people hurt each other, um, when people break each other's um, heart in a way. But we can build trust again. Everything can be resolved if there's a willingness, if there's a desire. You can give a couple the desire. That's the only thing that not only we cannot give to other people, nobody can give it to us, right? Desire is it's our free will. Nobody can give you desire. That's the only thing that is truly our, because we have free will. What if a couple has the desire, and it doesn't have to be a burning desire, is the willingness at the beginning to make this work, then trust can be rekindled. You can rebuild it, and you can teach them how to do that and what breaks the trust, what not to do. Because we come from different backgrounds. So we don't always know what needs to be done, right? And also what might seem like it's okay in one family, even if you think, oh no, we have the same background, same culture, same religion, but we don't come from the same family. So what might be okay in one family might be completely a no-no, right? In one family, you can tell your partner, are you stupid? And it's nothing. And the other families, we don't talk that way. We don't call names. So we have to teach each other how to live together and not assume that because we are in love, we automatically know how to live together.
I always hear, and I think it's interesting as you're saying this, I always hear about, we don't have a manual, right? We don't have a manual for parenting. We don't have a really manual for being in a marriage. We only have the examples that we're taught. And I think sometimes we can sit there and think, if only we had been taught a certain way. But what I'm also hearing in here is the manual starts to be written when you come together.
That's right.
So it's not a manual of what a perfect marriage looks like anywhere else other than what the two of you are creating.
That's right. That's very true. And I think that it's quite bold to say, but our primary purpose is to build a life together with someone, and then through that union, fulfill our purpose on a bigger scale, and support each other in impacting the world the way we're here to impact. I cannot tell you how many times when clients actually put the effort, the attention, and the focus on improving their relationship, then their businesses start to flourish. It's incredible. It tells you something, right? It tells you something. There's a reason why this social event where most amount of people will attend and celebrate and will come from far away just to be there, to witness what's going on, is a wedding. People will come from far to witness this union because this union is sacred. It gives you wings. It gives you that extra power. It allows you to become the best version of yourself because your spouse will love you unconditionally. Your children in the beginning will love you unconditionally, even if you're not the best parent when they're young. Your spouse won't. If you want to build this bond of trust with your spouse, you need to become the best version of yourself.
Mhm.
It, in a way, it encourages you, to say the least, to be the best that you can be. It shows you the blind spots that you wouldn't be able to see even if you're doing personal work when you're single. It makes you a better person. And it's the union that brings more life. So I truly believe it's a sacred union, and it has a huge ripple effect.
Mhm.
Not just in your children's society. All of the sudden, you fix your marriage. All of the sudden, your business starts booming. All of the sudden, you get that promotion at work. And it wasn't about the job. It was about you doing what was pending in your life to do.
Mm.
So it's worth it.
It's so beautiful. We don't hear marriages talked about quite like this as much. I mean, more often than not, it's about ourselves, what we're willing to compromise or not put up with, and then making decisions, in today's society. At the back of the book, you included the various, and I didn't bookmark it, but you included the various sacred, um, what do I want to say?
Rituals.
Yes. For every time a marriage is happening and the major religions. And I just thought it was beautiful. And I thought it was also really fascinating how very similar each of them were.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's right.
Yeah.
That was fun, actually. That was a lot of fun. And it's an idea that, when I started writing the book, it was very clear I want to write about my story and then the 4 pillars. But then as I was writing the book, I was having so much fun writing this book. It was effortless. Um, and I felt like I was channeling a lot. That idea came in. Let's um, share the how different religions, or the main religions, I think there are 5 or 6, I don't remember how many I wrote,
Mm.
um, how they bless and create and witness, how people witness this sacred union. And like you said, there's so much similarity, for sure, in the idea of the sacredness of the union.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then, and I loved reading that. And I also had bookmarked the hour pillar because I'm sorry, the S pillar. So I read, there's the me and the you that you've covered a little bit. Definitely this is scratching the surface on what's inside the book. um, and then I got to our, and then it was us. And I was at first like, well, what's the difference between the two of these things? And there was one piece where you said, at its core, marriage aims for complete unity and oneness in every dimension. Us signifies this unity through deep, intimate connections, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Do you feel like you can have then us without doing the you and the me and the our?
I think it will be very difficult. I think that we want to have the first 3 in order for us to truly want to have that desire to be in this union, that reunion in a way, because when a couple is intimate, it's like a reunion of the 2 souls. So I think that to have that, you need trust. You need to trust your partner. You need to feel safe, to be open, to be vulnerable, to expose yourself, to let your partner see you. So to have this level of safety and openness, the first 3 pillars need to be in place. Yet, the first 3 pillars don't make a marriage. They make great partners and friends. It is the 4th pillar that actually makes the difference between great partners and friends and a romantic relationship and a marriage, because this is the pillar of physical intimacy, obviously. But to get there, you need to work through the first three pillars. It's going to be quite difficult to be wanting to be fully united with your partner if you're holding a lot of resentment, if you feel unheard, unseen, unsafe, you cannot trust your partner, unsupported, all of that.
Mhm.
Makes sense?
Mhm. No, I love how you describe that, and I think at first it really was like, "Okay, our and us, what's the difference?" And "our" was very contractual. I think it was really good going through that. There's definitely takeaways that I had, like, "Well, we should revisit this." And I think that too, sometimes it seems like when we're looking at, like, going and working with somebody on our marriage that number one, it can feel scary because now we're risking exposing something, right? And everything that you're talking about in this book is so beautiful in the sense that it's not about shining a light on all the ugly pieces. It's about how do we rebuild? Where do we go from here? Do you find that most couples when they're coming to work with you, is it at a point where they're breaking, or is that at a point where they already know this and they kind of recognize that it's important for themselves?
Um, I have the privilege of working with couples in different stages. I have couples that want to improve their relationship, take it to the next level, definitely, especially second marriages. So they recognize that they they didn't know any better in their first relationship, and now they want to make sure that they they do it right in their own, whatever right is for them. Like you said, there's no right or wrong. So right now specifically, I'm working with two couples who are second marriage, and they're here really out of their good faith and will to make this relationship great, to make sure they don't fall back into the mistakes of their first marriages. And then we have couples that um, they are in that power struggle phase, and but they are aware enough to know that they want help, and that they have the willingness to overcome this, and they believe they can as well. um, so these are usually the type of couples that I work with. If a couple already decided that they want to divorce, um, it's more challenging. Although I'm not saying that it cannot work. I remember having a case of a couple who said, "That's it. We already contacted a lawyer, and it was a very successful process." But it's because they were willing to do the work. And not only that, of course, they're happily married together. Now they have a child. It was very, very successful, but they were willing to do the work.
Mm,
And that goes back to the decision that we cannot give it to someone, right?
mm,
It has to come from everybody. It's that personal commitment. And commitment, I like the word commitment, means that I'll do whatever it takes to make it work. It's not I'm interested, is I'll do whatever it takes to make it work.
mhm. It definitely feels different than I think sometimes we look at marriages and in our individual selves. And you mentioned in there too that divorce is 50-50. Marriage is 100 and 100. We have to be putting 100% of ourselves into it. And really just thinking back to, what are we building towards? Probably in any given moment, can be the difference between how conversations go.
Yes. Are you using your words to build, or are you using your words to destroy?
Mm,
And usually we use our words to destroy when we are looking for that instant gratification. I want to get it out of my chest. I want to be angry now. So reactiveness and self-regulation is very important. It's part of the me pillar of working on yourself.
mhm,
Um, but going back to the numbers you mentioned, you have to put divorce is 50-50. These are Manny Friedman's words. Marriage is 100% each person, you put 100%, but you get back way more.
Mm.
You get back 1,000%.
Mhm.
That's the ripple effect that we're talking about. It's difficult to look at this in a linear way. You need to realize that you put 100%, but what you create has massive impact. Is that powerful synergy that can create, that is so sacred, that has the power to create miracles and to allow each partner to fulfill themselves and the children to fulfill themselves. And then and you recognize those couples, because usually when you see those couples, people say, how do you do so much and how do you do this? And well, it's because it's not just me, and it's not even me and him. It's the synergy that gets created. You put 100%, but you get way more.
Mm. I think this is such a it's just so refreshing to hear. I think especially with all that we hear in the world news, and it's just a beautiful reminder of the unity and why we come together, why we get married in the first place. And that also there's hope. It's possible if both parties are willing. So, I'll put all of your, I'll definitely put your book into the show notes and everything. What's the best way if people are interested in getting in contact with you for them to reach out?
So, first of all, if people want to get a taste of the book, they can download the prologue for free. They can go to becomingapowercouple.net, and they'll be able to download the prologue for free and get a glimpse of what the book is all about. In terms of contacting me, people can contact me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Gabriela Embon, or on my website, gabrielaembon.com.
Okay, well, we will definitely put everything in there. I loved reading the book. Again, like I said, I couldn't put it down. There was a lot of amazing nuggets of wisdom in here. I've read several relationship books. This one's coming up at the top with some of the other ones that are really good. I
Thank
loved
you.
it. So thank you.
I really appreciate that you took the time to
I
write it.
am very genuine. I read through and I was like, okay, this is, and it was easy to read, but it was also beautiful and rich, and it was full of practical strategies that I felt like I could walk away and introduce to my partner without it seeming. I think sometimes it feels like, well, I don't know if they're going to want to do that. This was all very practical, and I felt like, okay, we could actually do this. That's what I felt
Mhm.
reading your.
Well, I'm glad that you got that message. We can actually do this. First of all, I believe in that.
Mhm,
And that's what I want people to believe, that they can actually do this
mhm.
if they want.
Well, what do you feel like would be a final message for you to couples? Maybe they are interested in looking and growing together as a couple. Maybe they've had some struggles. What do you feel is that message?
Um, I truly believe that the most rewarding work that someone can do is work on their romantic relationship, marriage or not married, on their committed relationship. Part of that is the personal work, of course, the me pillar. But the me pillar on its own, it won't be as rewarding as doing investing in your romantic relationship. It's the most rewarding work. I wish I could express how much when you invest in your relationship, when you do this work, you're going to be rewarded in ways you cannot expect in different aspects of your life. Don't look at it as your life. Yes, we have our lives is divided in areas or sections. We do have the wheel of life, but there is, if there was one component of your life in the wheel of life, all aspects of your life, your health, your professional life, your social life, your romantic if there was one component that you would say will affect everything else and create a nuclear reaction in a positive way, is investing in your relationship. And that's what I want people to remember.
Mm,
that it's possible, that it's rewarding, and that will have a massive, massive positive effect
mm.
in you and around you.
Well, I'm full of hope, and I just loved talking with you. This was a wonderful conversation. I hope our listeners really are digging in and that they read your book. I think it's really impactful. Thank you so much for coming onto the show, spending some time with us today. I really appreciate you coming.
Thank you so much, Jessica, for having me. Thank you to your listeners.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hello You Show. It's been a pleasure to have you with us on this journey today. If you found value in our conversation and want to support the show, please take a moment to like, follow, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd also deeply appreciate it if you could leave us a review. Your feedback not only helps us grow, but also enables others seeking inspiration and authenticity to discover our community. Until next time, keep embracing your story with purpose.